Hi everyone, I'm Luke Knight, the co-founder and CEO of CompareYourTech. Today I'll be speaking to Roelf Otten, who is the founder of SaaSmeister. They specialize in onboarding for SaaS brands, so he's got a lot of insights in this. He's very posts very regularly on LinkedIn and gets a lot of engagement, which I enjoy following as well. Working myself in SaaS for about 15 years, I can see he's putting a lot of great strategy out there, which are helping up and coming brands about how they can actually put the strategy of onboarding themselves and hands-on implementation as well. So I'd like to hand over and introduce you to Roelof. He's going to go through some great strategies and how you can get started and hints and tips about your SaaS onboarding. So Roelof, I'd like to introduce you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. So I'm Roelof. I have a Dutch name, so it's very difficult to pronounce, I guess,
Oh,
in
sorry.
English. No problem, no problem. So I'm Roelof. I'm the founder of SaaSmeister, and I focus on user onboarding, especially for B2B SaaS businesses, helping startups, but also agencies who are doing SaaS business who are doing like 1 million in ARR. And that's kind of what I do, and I do it from strategy to design and the development phase. Development is not something that I do, but that's something that of course I have someone for. But in essence, strategy and design. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what do you see as the real pain points that SaaS brands are finding now with their customer onboarding, and what the sort of gaps that they can fill to actually start building like a solid onboarding solution for themselves, and obviously
Yeah.
with help with people like yourself.
Yeah, there are a couple. Let's go a little bit back because when I started SaaSmeister, it was solely focused on UX to help from UX perspective, help B2B SaaS companies design the product. And the thing that I saw the most was that, okay, they have a great product, but for some reason they have some traction on the website, but they lose their customers.
Mhm.
They sign up and then they're gone, and most of the time they have no idea why. So that's something that I saw, and I thought, well, maybe that's something to focus on, because what I see is that a lot of SaaS companies, they focus on churn, and of course, which is a very important metric. But when I dive into to the data, what I see is like 40 to 60% of the first time users, they sign up and never come back. That's something that you see on a day-to-day basis at SaaS companies. So like around 50% of the new signs become inactive. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to focus on user onboarding, because user onboarding is kind of the key phase, I guess, in SaaS. You could have a terrific product, but if people can't experience the value that your product brings, they're already gone and searching for another solution.
Yeah, no, it's a big pain point because they're spending that money to actually drive them to the website, you know, creating all these conversion points on the
Yeah,
websites, popovers, everything like that, and then they get them, and then especially if you're like I say, growing SaaS brand, you
yeah.
may have like hundreds, thousands of signups like a week, people just trying to test it out. So yeah, very good focus, and it's great you're offering like a service which is highly targeted with that because obviously you can get consultants which are great and everything which have a broader then, but to have that sole focus and expertise on that, I think it brings a lot of value to these brands which really need to show that ROI of all the marketing they're doing, then the conversions to onboarding. So
Yeah,
no, that
exactly.
sounds really
And it's exactly what you're saying, because what I see is that they spend a lot of money on a budget on ads, and they do see a lot of traffic, but for some reason they're clicking the sign up button. There is something in the messaging that attracts them, but then they sign up and then they're losing their users. And that's kind of the biggest issue that I see with SaaS. A lot of traction, a lot of losing customers on that first 14 days. Let's say they have a trial of 40 days. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, with that in mind, so what are the things they can actually start doing, do you think, to actually start implementing that plan?
Yeah.
Obviously, taking a look at the drop-off points and areas like that. What do you suggest? How do they get really started mapping that
Yeah,
out?
yeah. There are a couple of things that I really see go wrong within SaaS, and one of the things that I think that a key element is they lack a clear of definition on what user onboarding is to them. Most of the time, see SaaS companies, they add product tours, they add a couple of emails, but there's no clear goal and end goal for their user where they wanted to guide their users to. They think that onboarding is about learning the product, but in essence, onboarding is about changing someone's behavior, changing someone's habits. Because in essence, nobody wants a new product. They want a new solution. They want, let's say, a better life in this case. So we want to break those old habits, and without having a clear goal in mind, like this is the ultimate value that we could bring with our tooling. If you don't work towards that, you're ending up losing your users because yeah, what's the biggest value that you wanted to bring? And that's something that I see most of the time, that when I ask SaaS companies, what is your ultimate goal, or what's your ultimate win? Most of the time they don't even know it until I ask a little bit further and further. And then we go, oh, well, it's like, when they see the first data coming in, or when they've finally sent their first invoice, that is when I use things. Oh, really? Is this what the tooling can bring? So my tip would be trying to define that ultimate goal and then work your way back to the beginning. So what are the steps to get to that ultimate win? If you start with that, you already have a clear path for your user, like, okay, here's where they sign up and this is where they're heading.
Perfect.
And another thing that I would add is like a lot of people think that user onboarding starts after sign up, but user onboarding starts from the moment that they see, let's say, an ad on social media or on Google. That's when that first aha moment appears to your user, like, okay, I have a problem and there's probably a solution for that. So what you want to do is like your website, your homepage and your land and your pricing page. Those are the two important pages of SaaS. You want to make those crystal clear from your messaging, from your social proof, authority you want to show, but also your pricing page. You want to make sure that the pricing is crystal clear to the users, that that at the end of those two pages, that there's no questions for them to just, okay, well, just try it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, pricing is very important part of the process as well. Because obviously having clear pricing, some brands decide not to show their pricing, so that
Yeah,
can be like a barrier for
yeah,
people, unless they have probably bigger budgets, because people might think so doing that. So having that clear path to conversions. Also, things like free trials, I'm guessing, are important if that is possible, if it's not too much of
yeah.
a complex solution to set up. I think that's important. What are your views on sort of putting card details in and things before the actual trial? Do you think, have you had any issues with people seeing drop-offs with that compared to just going straight into the platform?
Yeah, you mean if with adding trial, I'm not sure
Oh, sorry, because some brands asked you to put the card details in as
Oh
they're
yeah, yeah,
signing up
yeah,
for a
yeah,
trial.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, good question. Yeah, good question. Yeah, that's basically like they call it within onboarding an opt-in and an opt-out. And an
yeah,
opt-in is in this case, okay, you're trying the product, and after 14 days, let's say you have to put in your credit card details, and then you can use the product for longer term. Of course, then you're paying.
yeah.
Otherwise, you would have create an account, and then you definitely directly need to put in your credit card details. And the thing
Mm,
that I'm seeing here is, and that's widely tested, that when you're doing that credit card first, you will get higher quality leads because they're more motivated to try a product, but you will get less signups in this case because, of course, users can't experience the value up front.
mm,
So my tip for that would be try to delay that paywall as long as possible. I have clients who are having an AI tool, and the reason why they are putting that paywall up front is because, okay, well, if we do let all our trial users try a product, we have to pay for every request that the customer or the client makes to that API.
so
Um,
yeah,
so what I would suggest in that case, try to delay the paywall as long as you could, get them into the product, give them some kind of experience. And even though they don't use the AI tooling yet, just give them an idea, okay, this is the tooling, let them click around. And when they want to use that paying ad or the paying feature, then you prompt them with a paywall.
yeah,
Um,
no, no, definitely makes sense. Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah,
Because if they are very keen and have got that in
yeah,
mind, that that isn't a barrier for the payment. But then again, people might be choosing multiple tools,
yeah,
and some person might have, having to put the card details in, some might. So yeah, no, it's definitely,
yeah,
they
and
say
and
that that's great to have the.
with that card details, there are also two routes. Some say, well, we only have to, let's say, pay 1 cent just to connect the bank account, and
Yeah.
others you have to really pay up front. I've seen the tool
Okay.
last week. I really wanted to look at the tool, but when I wanted to create an account, the first thing I need to do was put in my credit card account. But not only connect it, I also have to pay like $400 up front, and I haven't seen the
Uh,
product. I didn't even know if the product was going to work for me. So that was a real big deal breaker
yeah,
for me.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, and as I say, some brands may not have access to a card if they're like in marketing or
Yeah,
sales or something like that. So that's amazing advice. Definitely, like I say, it's probably good. Obviously, with the testing, that's obviously where your expertise come in as well. Working how
yeah,
that fits for each sort of different use case for SaaS brands. Um, no, that's awesome. No, thank you so much for that. Um, like you were mentioning, working the way backwards from the onboarding, really.
yeah,
Is there sort of the key milestones that you really look at? I'm guessing like the first sort of 7 days are going to be the most important to get that sort of like user
yeah.
adoption to the actual product itself. So I'm guessing there's emails, maybe even extended interactive demos and things like that to use as well.
Yeah, yeah, good question. Yeah, they say, and it's not kind of a number that is significant in this case, but they say like the first 7 minutes is the most
Oh,
important when a user comes into your product because then you want to have some kind of first day win. Like, okay, if you really have a complex product, it sometimes takes a while because before the user gets to experience the true value. So looking from that perspective, you want to have some kind of small win within that first 7 minutes. So that could be setting up their first account, adding their brands to, let's say, an invoice, just to give them an idea of, oh wow, this is what it's going to look like. And even though it takes a while to experience the complete value of the product, they'll have some little milestones, little celebrations in this case.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
sort of
and
gamification sort of style of it. So you're
yeah,
having to go through
exactly.
like a checklist
Yeah,
and you get a lot of the brands where you can click on it and like balloons come up and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm guessing that gives that sort of
that
that
little
impulse that you've
yeah.
achieved something. So
That's exactly what you want. And yeah, you mentioned checklists. And I think that a lot of SaaS companies think, well, we're adding a product tour here. We're just letting click them through and we'll add a checklist. But what you want to do is if you want to use checklist, use it like a strategically way. Like you want to bring them to every little celebration point, a milestone. And that's the way that I like to use checklists. Of
yeah,
course, people like to check off boxes. In this case, oh, we have a list and it's done.
yeah,
But you want to connect them to like important moments in your product, and
yeah,
all these important moments have to go to the ultimate win in this case.
yeah. Oh, no, that sounds perfect. Yeah, a great way to get people started and
Yeah,
to bond them with the actual solution themselves as well.
yeah,
So
and
no, that
and
sounds great.
looking at another key moment that I really think that every SaaS company has to do is like the welcome email. It's like
Yeah,
the most important email that you could send. And I see and still see a lot of SaaS companies just sending a normal email like, okay, you have to welcome to our software, welcome to our product, and that's it. But that's the first moment that you and your customers are connecting. So you want to introduce yourself, like I'm the CEO of SaaS product X. This is the benefits that you can get from our product. This is how you get started. It's kind of first of all you want to show people how to get started, and you want to educate them to open up your emails because there's something important in there, and you want to share it with them. So that first welcome mail is very important.
definitely. Yeah, they want to sort of bond with the brand and
Yeah,
not only feel it as part of that's going to help them in their daily work life, but
yeah,
also actually part of something like a movement or like a culture or anything like that.
yeah,
That's why I guess as well, like with all the brands, like founder-led brands and stuff on social media is getting big now. People buy into people, so making that first impression, as you mentioned, is like, really important in the onboarding.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Good stuff. So, is there any sort of recommended tools or solutions that you would for people to get started with onboarding that you use regularly, or that would help them sort of move along quicker and getting started?
Yeah, there are tons of tools. I think it all depends on what, of course, what you're trying to achieve. I do use a lot of tools like third-party tools to do the product tours. In this case, I use Useful a lot. But again, that's a tool for a product tour. I guess that the tools doesn't really matter. I think that the way that you're using it is the way that it matters. At the end, a tool is just a tool. It could just create a mailing flow for you or a product tour. But I guess that the biggest tip that I would just give is use it strategically and use it in a way that it doesn't feel like a burden to the user, but in this case, that it's helping them. So let's say if you're using a product tour, what I would recommend is to use interactive way, like not just, oh, this is where, let's say this is our dashboard, this is our overview of items. No, let them click through it and just let them walk through like an interactive way. So yeah, that would be my advice. Of course, there are a lot of tools on the market that you could use for, let's say, product tour for emails. And to me, that doesn't really matter which one you use. But
So
again,
if it,
use it in a thoughtful way.
Good stuff. Yeah, because I saw that it's really good. I saw one of your posts where you're actually mapping out the journey flow and things like that, which is great, which you can go through with your clients, make
Yeah,
sure it's in line with them, where like emails are triggered and things like that. So
yeah,
that looks really good that, it's really pre-planned and precise. And then I guess you can then test it or A/B test it and keep going as well. So really good way of to be able to sort of visualize the journey through that onboarding, which is really good.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff. So, so how would like a SaaS brand really evaluate, do you think, the success, like the sort of really key metrics of it? Like, obviously, conversion's a big thing, turning them
Yeah.
into paying customers. But is there certain ways just for their onboarding that potentially they could evaluate, like what's working for them and what's not?
Yeah, yeah, good question. Yeah, of course, a conversion. But I do like to focus on like stuff like inactive, like how many users are active. Because again, what I've mentioned previously, if you have like 10,000 users and only 50% of them are active, yeah, you're still leaving money on the table. So I would like how many are active. What's of course your churn, like the regular metrics in this case, like churn, inactive users, conversion. Those are the ones that I use daily. So I don't have a very specific metric in this case, I guess. But those are the three that I really like to use a lot. I like to look at, okay, what's your traffic on your website? How many of them are, let's say, converting to a sign up? How many of those signups become an active user? How many of those active users get to the first milestone? How many of those users come to the end goal? So
Yeah.
those are little, and maybe they're not like industry-wide metrics, but those are the metrics that I use specific for my SaaS brands. Because I like to focus on things that happen within the product itself. So we have, let's say, 5 milestones. Okay, how fast is the user going to the first milestone in how many days? Uh, Milestone 2, 3, 4, 5, and from that perspective, I have a clear idea. Okay, what's going wrong and what do we need to improve?
Okay, perfect. Yeah. It's all about, yeah, getting those insights, isn't it? And
Yeah,
changing and trying to enhance as you can because things change very quickly and specific different job titles, different requirements for potentially the same software as well, especially if it is a CRM or something like that. There's different areas people can use, so definitely doing that. But no, that's really, really good insights.
yeah,
No, thank you. Um, yeah, so if you've have any sort of examples of some of the clients you've previously worked with or currently working
yeah.
with that onboarding, which they found success with?
Yeah, I'm currently working on a onboarding sequence. They're still kind of in development in this case, but what we did was we looked at the previous version. How is the current version working? And I think that the biggest thing that and I do that with a lot of clients. The biggest thing that I'm doing is making it personal. In this case, the personalization is key in onboarding. What I see a lot going wrong is that you sign up and they go through a flow with maybe some questions. Maybe most of the time there aren't questions, and they come to a generic version of the product, and they get overwhelmed with features and functions. They get case studies which doesn't apply to their business. So what you want to do, and this what we did with with customers that I work for, is ask upfront how are you using the software? Why are you using the software, and what are you trying to achieve? Because that gives you a very clear view of, okay, this is what they want to do. So these features and functions are the first things that we need to present. Otherwise, we're just throwing everything at them and hoping that something sticks and that is the right version. But you want to know your user and why are they using your product. So that's something that we did, and yeah, it's still a little bit too early to get conclusions from that, but they are looking good from the perspective. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, good stuff. Um, Nice one. So, how can someone get started with SaaSmeister if they wanted to contact you and sort of talk about the onboarding and the process?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned it before. I'm very active at LinkedIn. So that's kind of my key channel to use. People ask me, "Do you have a website?" And to be honest, no, I don't, because LinkedIn is in this case my website. So I'm using it there, and I'm sharing like 5 times a week posts about user onboarding, PLG, and user onboarding, how that all interconnects with each other. So yeah, if they want, they can follow me there and drop a DM if they want. Yeah,
Perfect. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to sharing this across social, LinkedIn,
yeah.
and on Compare Your Tech as well. I hope. Well, I've learned a lot as well, which is always good. So yeah, get in contact and wishing everyone the best with that onboarding. And thank you so much for your time.
Cool. Thank you.